Hello everyone, Wandering Brownie here, and welcome back to another fanfiction reading. Now before we start the reading, I just want to say thank you to Mash Gamer Y Joystick for drawing the awesome art of my OC that you're seeing right now. Yeah, thank you for this art, dude. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. Anyway, go check out his DeviantArt account. I'll link it in the description. Anyway, today we are going to be reading Early One Morning by Kodiak. And apparently this person writes a lot of Twilight stories, and this story stars Twilight Sparkle and Rainbow Dash, so I hope you're ready for some shipping action. I know I sure am. Anyway, let's get started. This is Early One Morning by Kodiak. Twilight Sparkle awoke early in the morning to the sound of incessant knocking at her door. She groaned quietly, pondering for a moment why Spike hadn't yet answered, but the pounding forced the thought out of her mind for the moment. Whatever the reason, her sister, it seemed, was not going to answer the door for her. Gathering what little precious energy she could, Twilight rolled her way off of the side of the bed, just barely landing on her hooves before giving a languid stretch. First her forelegs, then her back, then her hind legs. Finally, doing something she was still fairly unaccustomed to doing, her wings were spread wide, and she felt her bones crack and pop quietly. The knocking hadn't even slowed. "Coming!" Twilight snapped, glancing out the window. The sun was just now rising above the horizon, and a habit of late-night studying was doing her moon no favors. Although any pony who decided getting her up this early in the morning was a good idea could use a stern talking to. Or if Twilight's current scowl was any indication, a brief shouting fit. Barely taking note of the unclean state of her library, Twilight strode straight through the clutter of books and notes to the front door, much like a deer sprinting effortlessly through the woods. When she reached the large oak passageway, she uttered a silent mental prayer for whoever ended up on the receiving end of her rapidly growing fury. "What?" she shouted as the door was nearly flung off its hinges in her newly found alicorn magic. The brownie on the other side of the door didn't even flinch. "Twilight, listen," Rainbow Dash said quickly, taking a few well-timed steps away from the angered alicorn. "I know you're probably mad at me for understatement of your life," Twilight deadpan, noting the gap between them was much too far for her to take a jab with her horn. "What do you want?" Rainbow nodded. "Right, about that. You see, there's a very good reason for all of this, but I can't tell you until tomorrow." Twilight blinked, confusion momentarily overriding the anger, though not for long as she set her strongest death glare on the Pegasus before her. "What?" she asked plainly. Okay. Rainbow Dash just kept repeating it to herself for nearly a minute, staring at the ground and breathing in huffs, as though she'd just run a marathon. Finally, she looked up. "Twi, I gotta say, you're a good friend. A really, really good friend, and I wouldn't trade that for the world." Twilight's mental faculties came to a full stop. Even her burning anger ran low on fuel as she ran over the unexpected statement. Eventually, she offered a quiet, "You too?" Rainbow shook her head furiously. No, gotta do this right." She seemed to be talking more to herself than Twilight, or to someone else, like a pony who was sitting in a bush nearby, watching her. Perhaps it was a prank? "Alright, okay. Well, I guess the best way is to just get it over with, right?" Twilight squinted at her unusually uptight friend. The closer she looked, the more she began to notice. Rainbow's mane was normally unkempt, but now looked as though she'd put it in a blender this morning. Her wings were a mess, looking like she hadn't preened herself in months, and her eyes were bloodshot. When was the last time she'd gotten a proper night's rest? "Rainbow, are you okay?" "What? Me? No, I mean, yes, I'm fine. Fine. She was off again, repeating "fine" over and over, to the point where it no longer sounded like a real word. "Rainbow?" Twilight repeated, carefully leaning down to try and catch the mare's gaze. She'd gone from furious to concerned to downright scared for her friend's mental well-being. "Would you like to come in?" Rainbow's head snapped up, eyes wide as dinner plates as she stared. No? She paused, looking up to the sky. "No, I don't have time. Or do I?" Another pause. I do have time. No, I don't. I'll make time, so yes. Yes, I would like to come in. That sounds right, doesn't it? Twilight nodded slowly, stepping to the side and watching with a frown as Rainbow's shaking hoofs carried her into the paper jungle. Sorry about the mess. Looks normal. Rainbow trailed off, eyeing the books with a twitching eye. Everything's normal, and it's all going to be alright. 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 Following Rainbow through the mess of her front room, Twilight watched as the mare absent-mindedly dodged every obstacle in the room, something even she couldn't do, and she was the one who put everything where it was. Without fail or fault, Rainbow found her way onto the couch and flopped down, waiting in silence for Twilight to sit next to her. Okay, Rainbow started, looking around the room. Her eyes covered everything she could see until they eventually settled on Twilight. Okay, not dreaming. Everything looks normal. Twilight's sitting next to me, and I'm going to talk to her. Twilight's brow creased as her frown deepened. Rainbow Dash, what's going on? I'm going to talk to you, Rainbow announced, smiling proudly. I said I wouldn't trade your friendship for the world already, right? Back at the door? You remember that, don't you? A sliver of fear slipped into her voice. Yeah, you did. I remember. Rainbow's head nodded up and down spastically. Good, very good. They're starting to blend together, you know. Anyway, okay, I already said that. What's next? Oh, alright. Well, here's the thing. I'm not exactly... what's the word? Content with our current relationship. Sounds right. Sounds normal. Good. Normal's good. Rainbow? Twilight started cautiously. What are you talking about? Why are you... Just let me finish! Rainbow snapped. She sounded angry, but a wild smile never left her lips. Please, it's normal to let me finish, right? We're aiming for normal here, Twi. Anything not normal won't work. Twilight opened her mouth, but closed it slowly. Whatever was wrong, it seemed Rainbow had her own way of getting to the problem. Still, Twilight paid close attention to her friend. Right, so... I'm not content... I said that already, didn't I? She chuckled manically. Of course I did. So, what I'm saying here is that I'd like more than just friendship with you. Rainbow. I love you, Twilight! Rainbow shouted suddenly. A deathly silence fell over the library immediately after. Even the books seemed to be quieter than normal. Nothing moved. Nothing spoke. Nothing breathed. After a solid moment of silence, Rainbow jumped off the couch. No! No! That wasn't normal. Stupid me. Stupid. Twilight blinked, staring at the mare she paced around the cluttered room, still muttering to herself. Rainbow? She ventured slowly, standing up and reaching her hoof out to catch her friend's shoulder. It's not going to work! Rainbow yelled, turning around and staring, half fearfully and half desperately, at Twilight. It all has to be normal. If it's not normal, it won't work. Would you describe that as normal? Quite frankly, I wouldn't describe anything that's happened today as normal. Why are... Exactly! Rainbow took to the air, flapping her wings and scattering loose paper everywhere. Twilight cringed as she watched ink spill and book towers topple. Hey, They'll be fine tomorrow, Rainbow said dismissively, waving hoof nonchalantly in Twilight's direction. Rainbow, will you take a breath for 1 minute and tell me what the hay is going on with you? Twilight demanded, stomping her hoof on the floor and using her magic to grab Rainbow's tail before she could fly away. Ever since you got here this morning, you've been acting... well, crazy. Now this? What's going on with you? Rainbow growled low in her throat, obeying the tug of Twilight's magic and landing on the floor. You never believe me when I tell you. I've tried so many times, but you just don't get it. It's not a joke. I'm not pranking you. I, Rainbow Dash, love you, Twilight Sparkle. Why is that so hard for your egghead mind to understand? Twilight sighed quietly, releasing her hold. I need you to calm down, okay? Do you think you can do that for me? Huffing, Rainbow scraped at the floor, looking over her shoulder skeptically. After a moment, she nodded. Fine, whatever, and calm. Nice and normal and calm. Good. Now from the top, explain to me what's going on, Twilight instructed, guiding them both back onto the couch. Oh, this is new, Rainbow muttered to herself before looking back to Twilight. I came here to ask you out on a date, Twilight, but you said no. Twilight tilted her head. What do you mean? I haven't said no yet. You actually didn't even ask me out on a date yet. No! Rainbow shook her head roughly. I mean yesterday. Or today, or maybe a month ago. I don't know, it all seems the same. But the important part is that I asked you out on a date and you said no. I was pretty upset, but I got over it. I went to bed that night and I woke up the same day. Maybe you mean you woke up later in the night? Again, Rainbow shook her head. No, I mean I woke up that day, as in the morning of that same day, not the next day. I came to your house again, and you didn't remember anything. Rainbow, that's simply not possible. I haven't seen you in a few days. You were in Cloudsdale at that big weather meeting, remember? You were supposed to get back last night. Twilight, that... Rainbow frowned, brow furrowing for a moment. I barely remember that. It's been so long, almost a year, I think. I was keeping track of the days once I figured it out, but I stopped. Twilight placed a gentle hoof on Rainbow's shoulder. That was just yesterday. No, it was months, years, I don't even know. It wasn't yesterday. Yesterday I flew into your bedroom window, woke you up, and kissed you. Do you remember that? What? Twilight reeled back with a gasp. What are you talking about? Rainbow threw her hooves in the air. Exactly! You don't remember! I don't know how or why, but somehow every night I wake up in the same morning every time. I can remember what I did the previous day, but nobody else does. Like I'm stuck repeating the same day over and over. It's not just Ponyville either. I've flown to Canterlot and talked to Princess Celestia. She doesn't remember a thing the next day. I figured the only way to fix things is to act normal. Just keep being normal, doing everything as I would normally, and things should go back to normal, right? Rainbow, I don't think... It's the only thing left! Rainbow yelled desperately. I've tried everything. This must be the dozenth time I've told you about what's going on, and you've never believed me. One time Celestia had me arrested, but I just woke up back at home. The only thing I have left to do, what I would have done normally. Ask you on a date? Only get you to say yes instead of no. It's never worked. Twilight held up her hoof, silently asking Rainbow to stop. Hesitantly, she closed her mouth, and Twilight took a deep breath. Rainbow, what you're describing to me sounds an awful lot like a time loop. You said that before, but you said it's impossible. That's because it is, Twilight said simply. Are you pranking me or something? Rainbow's eyes widened. Twilight, does it look like I'm pranking you? This has been going on for months! Twilight nodded, thinking silently for a moment. Well, alright then. You say I've never said yes, right? Well then, yes, I'll go on a date with you. But you just... Rainbow smiled widely. You did it! You finally said something new! Rainbow, are you... This is amazing! All it took was me completely flipping out on you. Oh, why didn't I try that sooner? No, I did. It must have been exactly what I said. This is amazing. It's finally normal. It'll stop. I'll wake up tomorrow, and it'll actually be tomorrow instead of today. Twilight watched, concerned and slightly amused as Rainbow took off and joyfully celebrated. She shook her head, chuckling quietly. This was all some kind of ploy to get me to say yes, wasn't it? You know I'd probably have given you a shot no matter what, right? You think... Rainbow trailed off, staring at her for a moment before shrugging it off. It doesn't matter what you think. The important thing is you said yes. We have to go on a date. It's been so long. What was my plan again? Something about dinner. Dinner and a play, that's it. I already made the reservations because I thought there was no way you'd say no to my awesomeness. It's tonight at 7. I'll pick you up at 6:30. With that, she was gone. Took off out of the window. Twilight watched her go, confused, more than a little concerned, and curious as to what the rest of the night held for her. Twilight groaned as she awoke to the sound of somepony trying to knock a hole through her front door. She sighed, sitting up in bed and flinging the blankets off herself. The sun was just barely visible above the horizon, and apparently Spike had better things to do today than open the door to whoever was trying to get her attention. Getting out of bed, she stretched languidly and made her way down the door, navigating through stacks of papers and piles of books, which she really should have cleaned up already. Opening the door and preparing to thoroughly chew out any pony who tried that hard to wake her up, she paused as she saw Rainbow Dash sitting on her doorstep, crying. "Rainbow?" Twilight asked, anger being washed away in an instant at the sight of her clearly distraught friend. "What's wrong?" You don't remember, do you?" Twilight frowned. "Remember what? What don't I remember?" Rainbow sniffled. "We went on a date yesterday. To a play, and—" "How can I forget that?" Twilight interrupted with a warm chuckle and a smile. "I had a lot of fun with you. I haven't said we should do it again. Why wouldn't I remember?" Rainbow's jaw fell open, her tears stopping in their tracks. She hastily reached into a wing and pulled out 2 crumpled slips of paper. "I found these on the table this morning. I'm so sorry, Twilight." "What do you—" Twilight trailed off into choked silence as she recognized the paper in Rainbow's hoof. There were 2 slips of gold-colored paper, each admitting one to a play. Tonight. A play she very distinctly remembered attending yesterday, where they took the tickets. "You're stuck with me now. I'm so sorry."